Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.
Welcome to the Taheebo Tea Club Radio Hour, right here on KCAA Radio. Here's your host, Milan Vukovic, founder of the Taheebo Tea Club.
Vukovic.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
And nice to be having you here. And good morning to you. And Milan, you have this great product to bring to us. It is a life-changing product. And it's not like any other product. And it's also about becoming a member of a club. And tell us about that club.
Well, we're actually the best club in the world because the reason that I started the Taheebo Tea Club was simply to have the best quality, pure Pau d'Arco Taheebo tea available anywhere in the world.
Pau d'Arco. That's a tree, right?
Right. And so there are a couple of names for it.
Mm-hmm.
Taheebo is the native Indian name that the Indios call it in the rainforest of Brazil. And when the Portuguese came to colonize Brazil 600 years ago, they, of course, stumbled across this tree as well. And because this tree never gets sick, never gets infested, and it never gets infected, the wood from this tree also happens to be the very hardest wood in the world. It's like concrete. And so they were using it for the bows and arrows. And apparently in Portuguese, arco means arch or bow, and pau must mean strong. So a lot of people know Taheebo as Taheebo, and other people will call it Pau d'Arco.
Pau d'Arco. And that's amazing. And, you know, folks, some of our best cures, some of our best solutions come from nature. They don't come off the pharmacy shelves. They're not manufactured by a big pharmaceutical company out there to make the most money on you and maybe have bad side effects and things like this. Organically, something from nature, nature's secret. And the Pau d'Arco tree and the great effects it has and Taheebo tea is what we're talking about today. And you have a package over here. If you'd like to hand it to me, I'll put it in the center of the screen. This is the bark of the Pau d'Arco tree.
Yeah.
Correct.
Since this tree never gets sick or infested and infected, this tree is actually pretty remarkable. This tree, even when it dies, it doesn't rot. And so in any event, because of its properties of not getting sick, the highest quality potency tea is made from the artery and vein system of the tree, which in a tree is called the xylem and the phloem.
The xylem and the phloem.
So now you can make tea from any part of the tree, and the inferior quality that you're going to find at the stores, typically that's what happens. Is like buying a hot dog versus a filet mignon. A filet mignon is a specific cut of steak, and a hot dog or ground beef can be anything ground up. And that's why I started the Taheebo Tea Club, because to give people an opportunity for success. So it's made literally from the inner bark of the tree, and even though we call it tea, when it's properly prepared, we make a decoction. And a decoction is just a fancy word for what our forefathers used to do when they used to take a root and cook it in order to release its beneficial properties. So it's really easy to make, but it's like cooking spaghetti rather than steeping tea.
A little bit different approach. I like that. Cooking spaghetti rather than steeping tea. So you have to cook it a little while.
Yeah.
But it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
It's worth the benefits. It's worth all those nutrients. It's not that much longer.
And the nice thing is you don't have to cook it that long. Basically, you bring a pot of water to a boil, and you cook it for 20 minutes, and you don't have to do anything. All you do is throw the tea in and cook it for 20 minutes.
That's right. And then you drink this tea.
Right.
And then some magic starts to happen.
Well, since fungus doesn't grow on this tree, you can make a whole big batch. You can make 10 or 20 cups at one time.
Now, that's something worthwhile, and stopping down and saying something about fungus doesn't grow on trees. Because I know a lot of people, if you want directions, you look on the north side of the tree to see fungus grows all over trees. Fungus and trees go together hand in hand. So this is already the first hint that this is something miraculous, that something is different about this tree.
Yeah, exactly. And since it has those antifungal properties, you can make a whole big batch of the tea, 10, 20 cups at one time. You can leave the tea in the pot on the stove. It'll stay good for 4 days without refrigeration. You can put the tea in the fridge. It'll stay good for 8 days with refrigeration.
So that means it travels well.
Yeah.
You can take it to work with you.
Yeah.
You can take it to the gym with you. You can drink it. And that's the key to it. It's almost like you replace water, I believe.
Absolutely. And truck drivers, for example, that go cross country from LA to New York and back, it takes them 3-4 days in each direction. What they do is they cook up a whole bunch of the tea and put it in glass gallon jugs like moonshine and just put it in their cabin. And then when they want to drink it, just pour it into a cup.
Yeah, if you're a hiker and you're going on a hike and you're going to be there 3 or 4 hours, you take the tea with you.
Yeah.
And it'll help you in your hike.
Exactly. And, because of the amazing properties that it has, it obviously has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So those benefits go a long way to helping our immune system.
Antifungal, anti-parasite properties.
Right. To go with a lot of different things. So parasites would be something like stomach problems. Inflammation would be something like rheumatoid arthritis. Infection would be any infection from a tooth infection to a bladder infection. Viral would be something like herpes. Bacteria would be something like gum disease. And fungus would be something like toenail fungus or candida. But maybe more importantly, what the tea does is it builds the red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. And our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer happens to die on oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because what it does is regenerate new cells, everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly, and it can truly be miraculous for somebody fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection or diabetes or cancer.
Or, sometimes we have nutrition problems. We all have nutrition. You mentioned candida.
Yeah.
Well, candida, some of us know about, is, that problem in our stomachs, in the gut of our body, which, can hold that stuff in. And the stuff that we eat sometimes breaks down the good stuff, the good biotics the probiotics in our stomach, in our gut. And so this helps restore that.
Yeah, and with candida, the amazing thing is candida, as if anybody anybody that has candida can attest to, they've had it for a long time. I mean, anybody's got candida, they've had it for at least 5-10 years. They've been through 12 different doctors, and they never really did get rid of it.
It affects you. It makes you feel sluggish.
Yeah.
It has all kinds of bad side effects.
And the reason for that is it's permeated your whole body. So candida, incredibly enough, takes longer to get rid of than cancer on average.
So we want to bring this Tahibo tea and permeate your body with the Tahibo
Right.
tea. Now, I'm going to do this several times throughout the show, so our listeners who may be listening in 15-minute segments or whatever, or in and out of the car, know how to get a hold of Tahibo tea. Because that's really, really important.
Yeah.
First of all, there's a phone number that can be called.
Right, exactly. They can call us at 818-610-8088.
818-610-6088.
And our office hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday, California time. And they can also reach us on the internet to place an order. And orders can be placed either over the phone or on our website. And our website address is TahiboTeaClub.com. And I'll spell Tahibo for you. That's Tahibo is spelled T-A-H-E-E-B like boy, O. So the complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com.
TahiboTeaClub.com. Once again, that's TahiboTeaClub.com. Very easy. TahiboTeaClub.com. You can log on to that. And if somebody wants to get a package of this, they can buy one individual single package at a time. And it has a lot of medicinal properties. It has a lot of cures. It has some very good benefits. And not only that, it'll help, with your gut health. It'll help with your overall health, just for healthy people. We've been talking about healthy people. We haven't even gotten into some of the other things yet. But how much would something like this cost?
All of our packaging is in 1 pound packages. So this is a 1 pound package, and it's all packed in 1 pound packages. And it's kind of like buying a 1 pound bag of coffee. It's just a little bit bigger than a 1 pound bag of coffee, but it's a similar idea. So 1 pound of the tea is $34.95. Shipping for 1 pound is by distance from Los Angeles. In the LA area is $7.85. To the East Coast, of course, it's a little bit more. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in the Los Angeles area arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else in the country arrive in 2 days.
So you get it pretty quickly. and then you try it.
Right.
You cook it up like, let's review a little bit like spaghetti,
Yeah.
a little bit in a pot of boiling water. Let it steep for a little while. Then maybe use a little colander. And drain it out.
Once you've cooked it up and turned the heat off, the tea bark will actually sink to the bottom of the pot. But eventually you will need to strain it so that you don't have to throw away any tea. And the easiest way to do that is you just get yourself a little sifter like you sift flour or sugar. And if somebody doesn't have one, they can pick one up at the 99-cent store or get a fancy one at Walmart for $3.
Something, a little fine mesh.
Right.
And it'll see, just like what they do with spaghetti.
Right.
That's a perfect analogy of it.
Right.
And for our listeners who just joined us, we're talking about the Taheebo Tea Club. Taheebo is spelled Taheebo, just in case you're going to Google it, because a lot of people hear things, they don't write phone numbers down these days. And Milan, and then they come back and they Google it. So it's real important they have the right proper spelling. Taheebo tea, and it's pure pau de arco bark, but then you get the tea from brewing it, so to speak, or making it like spaghetti, and it has great properties to it. And so we invite you to seek this out, change your life. Make yourself available to this. Make it available to you. Very easy, very simple, and you can cure a lot of problems with this. As we go down the road here and we talk more about this, you're going to find out some pretty miraculous things about nature's cure, nature's solution. This is available, by the way, at Clark's Nutrition as well.
Absolutely. Clark's Nutrition just picked our product up, and it's available at all their stores here in the Inland Empire. They have a store in Chino, they have a store in Riverside, they have a store in Loma Linda, and they have a store in Rancho Mirage.
Yes.
And when you do go to Clark's, make sure the Pau de Arco that you get is in fact Taheebo Tea Club Pau de Arco, because they have other brands that are inferior brands. And kudos to Clark's, because they were the ones who approached us and said, hey, your Pau de Arco is far superior than anything that we have on our shelves. Could we carry yours? So as of about a month or so ago, they've been carrying our product, which is a nice feature.
And that says something. That says something about your product and this product called Taheebo Tea, because Clark's Nutrition Centers doesn't carry fly-by-night stuff. It's a well-established, nutrition center that carries, organic foods and medicines and things that people who are tuned into, not going to a pharmacy, not going to a doctor that says, okay, you're going to take this drug, and then years down the road, you find out, oh my gosh, it's caused all these bad side effects. Mm-hmm. It's caused all these problems in my body, and now I have a whole nother list of things to fight.
Well, I have to tell you, in the Woodland Hills area that I live in, we don't have any Clarks over there. So my first exposure to them was once we started talking about them carrying Taheebo tea. And I went into a couple of the Clarks, and I was really, really, really impressed. Besides the variety and quality of health assistance products, everything from natural or organic vegetables to supplements to you name it, that they have. They also have a registered nutritionist on hand at the store that will help you put together a diet. They regularly have special events going on 2-3 times a week. For example, B12 shots that you can get at the store. I also noticed that they have other special events at the store every week and 2-3 times a week, such as hair analysis and that sort of thing. So it's really quite a unique store. Besides being an incredible market with produce and those sort of goods, the other healthy things that it concentrates on are just absolutely fantastic. So we're happy to be at Clark's, and our customers, what's really funny is that our customers already shop at Clark's.
Yes.
So when we get
it's a well-known name.
Right, we get orders from people in Riverside or Rialto or Loma Linda. And they'll order and we'll tell them, hey, but now you can also pick it up at Clark's and you don't have to pay the shipping. Clark's, I already shop at Clark's. Fantastic.
Yeah, there's one right over here on Barton Road and Mountain View in Loma Linda, which is the city of license for KCAA, by the way. It's Loma Linda. We're here in Redlands, of course, in our studios here, but we also have the license in Loma Linda, and that's where Clark's is. The nearby Clark's is right there in Loma Linda. And where are the other locations again?
Chino, Riverside, and Rancho Mirage.
So one out by Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, one in Riverside in our sister city, and then one in Chino, around Chino Hills, I believe it is. So those are great locations for Clark's Nutrition Center, a well thought of business, established business that carries Taheebo tea. And we're glad they do. And we encourage you to shop there because they do have all kinds of other great stuff, like some good organic honey that you can put in your tea.
You bet.
You know, there's all kinds of creative ways to do this. This is an antifungal tea. And we've been talking about the properties and the nature of it and how it fights, candida. It has all these medicinal properties that come just from a simple bark of a tree.
Well, you mentioned something interesting in terms of honey and methods, or what you can do. A lot of things you can do with the tea.
Yes.
There really is a lot of fun things you can do with the tea. First of all, the tea has a really, really mild, pleasant flavor. So about 95% of our customers drink it straight just the way it is because it has a taste that's like halfway between green tea and regular tea, but a little sweeter tasting all by itself. So most people just drink it straight. Now, however, you can have a lot of fun with it. Besides doing something like squeezing lemon into it once the tea is brewed, at the same time that you're tossing the tea in to cook, what you can do is you can take any fruit that you have on hand, like an apple, slice it up, a pear, slice it up, a peach, slice it up, a mango, a papaya, slice them up, or blueberries, crush them up, and throw it in and cook it with the tea for the 20 minutes, and it'll taste just like that.
Blueberries. I haven't thought about that.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Or ginger, or cinnamon, and for diabetics, what's really phenomenal.
Let me raise my left hand here.
For diabetics, what's really phenomenal is you cook the tea and you cook it with a stick of cinnamon because cinnamon also helps with diabetes.
I've heard that.
Now, in terms of diseases, diabetes is one of the favorite things for Taheebo tea to treat. And the reason that it is because diabetic, by definition, is taking their blood sugar to be able to ascertain exactly how many units of insulin to take. Because let's say they're taking on average 40 units of insulin per day. Well, whether to take 45 one day or 35 another day, that's a 25% swing. So they need to measure their blood sugar. Whereas, of course, somebody who's got lung cancer, they're not getting an MRI or a CAT scan every day. With diabetes, they are. And
Taheebo tea is far less expensive than insulin.
Oh, and not only that, it's far more pleasant also. It's beautiful. You just drink it. And with diabetes, it works on everybody.
No needles, no pricking your finger, or anything
No,
like that.
and it works in about 95% of the cases. So it works on virtually everybody. And
90 to 95. You say these factoids like this, Milan, and it's like, it blows my mind. You just, as ordinary, like you're just saying them very ordinarily, but I'm stopping you down and going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're saying, what does it do? How many people does it cure?
Yeah, I mean everybody, and
Really?
and I'll tell you, and like I said, with diabetes, you can easily see it working. So let's say a diabetic is taking 40 units of insulin on average per day. They keep taking their insulin. They start drinking a tea. In 2 weeks, they're going to notice they need only 30 units of insulin. In 4 weeks, they're going to notice that they only need 20 units of insulin. In 6 weeks, they're going to notice they only need 10 units of insulin. And in 2 months, they'll be able to get off of insulin altogether.
Along with a proper diet, I would imagine.
Well, they have to have a little modicum of discipline, but they don't have to go crazy. It's not like they can't have a bowl of ice cream once a week, a piece of cake when they go to a birthday party. They don't have to get that.
Hey, I'm for this because, I'm on 50 units of insulin a day right now. And, it's a pain to have to take the insulin all the time. It's a pain to have to, inject yourself and test yourself and carry the insulin around and all of that. Well, this is so far much easier.
It works so well for diabetes. Taheebo Tea Club is the manufacturer of the tea. So we don't have a retail store. We have a warehouse, and we ship worldwide to over 100 countries. In other words, what we do is we have the tea harvested in the Amazon rainforest. We put the tea on the containers. The containers get put on cargo ships, and the cargo ships come here to Port of Los Angeles, and then from our warehouse we ship. But people that live in the Woodland Hills area, or if they're in town, for example, and feel like stopping into the warehouse, they can stop into the warehouse and buy the tea and meet us and all of that. And every day, 2-3 people do. Well, there's one lady, she's coming every month and picking up 20 pounds.
Wow.
And every time she comes, now you got to understand that 1 pound makes 300 8-ounce cups or glasses of tea.
So she's drinking a lot of tea or doing water in your garden.
Even if you drink 8 glasses a day, 1 pound will still last you over a month. So you could be drinking stuff like
all this tea.
Right. But every time she comes, I happen to be on a phone, right? So I never have a chance to ask her what she's doing with this tea, right? So after about 2-3 months, one time she comes and I wasn't on a phone. I go, hey, I says, listen, I says, I don't mind whatever you're doing with the tea, whether you're reselling it or whatever you're doing. I said, I'm just curious, what are you doing with the tea? You could be filling a whole swimming pool with...
swim in the tea.
All right.
You can swim
we
in the
have
tea.
people that actually bathe in it because it does work topically.
Wow.
Yeah. So I said, you could be buying enough for a swimming pool, I says. And I says, I'm just curious, what is it that you do with the tea? You won't believe this. She goes to me, she says, I'm a life insurance salesman. And people who don't qualify for life insurance because their blood sugar is too high. I give them a pound of the tea for free, and I tell them to go in and check their blood sugar again in 6 weeks, she says, and virtually everybody's is in line. So not only did I make the people healthier, but I'm able to give them the life insurance that they want, and I'm able to make the commission that I want.
That's true, too. Folks, if you're diabetic and you're like me, you can't get life insurance.
Right.
At least good life insurance, that actually will pay off or has something there. They'll give you that, short-term life insurance that you have to pay for and pay off, and then you don't get anything from it unless you die.
Right.
And of course, you don't want to do that. So it's not an investment. But this is actually helping the financial world.
Right.
And nobody ever thought about that. What a great gift idea.
Yeah, and so I get calls from people all of the time. Just a man down in Long Beach called up, and he said, my A1C level was 13.5.
That's the overall level of all your diabetic measurements throughout a given time.
Yeah, and somebody who's diabetic will know what it is because it's a 3-month.
How much was his A1C?
13.5.
Holy cow, he's almost dead.
Right? And he says, so they took me to the hospital, he says, and they were treating me, and they got it down to 11.5. I go, that's still pitiful.
Yes. But that's a major thing, though. 2-point change in your A1C is good.
So he says, one of my coworkers says to me, he says, why don't you call the Taheebo Tea Club? Their stuff's not expensive. It's $35 for a package, and one package lasts 5 weeks, and it's helped all these other people. At best it'll help you with your diabetes. At worst, you're going to, be drinking something that tastes good. You got to drink something anyway. So he calls up, and in 3 months, his A1C went under 6.5 and was still dropping, getting to.
We're going to come back in 3 months. I'm going to try it because I'm a diabetic.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm taking 50 units of insulin a day.
Right.
Now, my A1C is 7 right now.
Okay.
That's good with the insulin.
Well, it's not that good.
But still, you understand, you're just like the doctor who bawled me out when I was in the hospital 2 years ago.
Right.
And I was in the hospital 2 years ago, heart problems. And he came in and says, your A1C is 11. I says, well, that's okay. It was a 13 before.
Right.
So then he kind of quieted down. He says, you got to bring it down. You got to bring it down.
Right.
And I brought it down. But in order to bring that down, there's no ice cream. There's no fun in life. There's no nothing. And, that's the amazing part, that if you can do that for me.
Yeah, with the Taheebo Tea Club, you have to have a little bit
fan.
of discipline, but you don't have to cut everything out.
I'll become the president of the Taheebo Tea Club.
Okay. You got to do no. Seriously, in 3 months, and you're going to 2 to 3 months, you're going to see your A1C. Well, your A1C, you're not getting tested every day, but you're going to see your blood sugar dropping daily.
I'll know, yeah.
Yeah, you'll know. There's no question about it. And in 2 to 3 months, you'll be able to get off the insulin altogether. It's truly remarkable.
Well, Rick Arbordop's a diabetic as well. We were at the National Association of Broadcasters convention recently, and we were both laughing at it's time to take our insulin. We're getting old. We're not out partying and drinking or anything like that. We're not enjoying life because we have to do all this kind of stuff. But with Tahibo tea, if you take it,
Exactly.
not only will you feel healthier, you'll feel good, but you can enjoy life a little better. And so for our listeners who just joined us, we're talking with Milan Molkovic. He's from Woodland Hills, and he is actually the general manager, CEO of the Tahibo Tea Club, this miraculous bark-based, I guess you'd say,
Yeah,
tea
it
from the
is.
Pau d'Arco tree. And it's called the Tahibo Tea Club. And I want to tell people once again how to get a hold of the Tahibo Tea Club. Right before we go to the break here, the number is 818-610-8088. That's correct, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The telephone number is 818-610-8088. And then, of course, they can also place their order either on the phone or on our website, which is tahiboteaclub.com. And Tahibo is spelled Taheebo, and the website is tahiboteaclub.com. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in LA arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else in the United States arrive in 2 days.
It's kind of like a little bit like a laugh. Tahibo, Tahee, like you're typing it online, or Tahibo Teaclub.com. TahiboTeaclub.com. We've been speaking with Milan Molkovic from Woodland Hills with this miraculous product and the Tahibo Tea Club. And we will return in just a minute to find out how you might just save your life or the life of a friend or someone else with this product. Right after this.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Did you know that Tahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco tea is now available at your local Clark's Nutrition and Natural Foods Market? You can visit your local Clark's Market today, and I mean like literally today, in either Loma Linda, Chino, Riverside, or even Rancho Mirage to purchase Tahibo tea. I mean, seriously, why would you want to settle for anything less? Make sure you get the Tahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco tea, and I literally emphasize that word original because it's on the packaging. Tahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco tea, now at your local Clark's Market. It's that time of year again. The city of Yucaipa is holding its 8th annual Music and Arts Festival May 3rd through the 5th. This 3-day event is one of the biggest annual events Yucaipa has to offer. Live bands, art displays, and vendors filling up the streets of historic uptown Yucaipa. Also, as an added bonus, is the brand new Yucaipa Performing Arts Center. This is your chance to check out what the great city of Yucaipa has to offer. More info can be found at yucaipachamber.org. That's yucaipachamber.org. Yucaipa's Music and Arts Festival, May 3rd through the 5th at historic Uptown Yucaipa.
I always hear from our clients who hired another firm that they wish they'd hired DNA Financial first. Don't have regrets about your IRS tax case. Just hire the best in the first place.
One owed $150,000 to the IRS and had spent thousands on another firm. We stopped the levies, negotiated a payment plan, and had their penalties forgiven.
And while every case is different, we guarantee that we'll find your perfect resolution and get it done right.
For a free consultation, call us at 866-201-0156. That's 866-201-0156. Then you can say, DNA did right by me.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email ceo@kcaaradio.com.
KCAA, 1050 AM. I'm Mark Westwood, and you're speaking here on the Community Crossroads Show, and we are talking with our special guest today on Community Crossroads. This is Milan Molkovic and the Tahibo Tea Club, and we're welcome to bring you back onto the show here, and we played that nice little Kenny T song about somewhere over the rainbow. Well, you can find this tea. This is your pot of gold.
Yeah.
And folks, when you hear about this, you're going to love it. And if you've just joined us, the Tahibo tea is made from the bark of the Pau d'Arco tree. Mm-hmm. And, that's a special thing to note because we have this going on with a little bit of a headphone problem. Sorry. That's all right. Are you okay? Okay. Anyway, there we go. I think we have another little technical problem. Okay. So I apologize for that.
No worries.
But the Tahibo Tea Club is a tea that's brewed like spaghetti from the bark of the pau d'arco tree, and I want you to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. The way I found out about the Taheebo tea was that in 1998, my father had colon pancreatic cancer, and he was getting treated in Houston at the Houston Medical Center, which is the biggest medical center in the world. It's got like 5 hospitals right next door to each other and 50 medical research buildings right beside those. And it's like Central Park with nothing but medical buildings. And so he was getting treated over there. But he kept progressively getting worse. So he's normally a man of 180 pounds. He was down to 120 pounds. And I was called, and they said, Milan, you need to put your father's affairs in order because he may have possibly 2 months to live only.
Oh, my.
And he's normally a man of 180 pounds. He was down to 120 pounds, and he looked like he was going to pass. So naturally, I started planning a funeral. Well, called friends and family and said, hey, listen, if you want to see Dad, you might want to come and see him now. So people started coming, paying their respects, and this one family came over, and they brought the tea with them. And they said, this tea cured our brother from cancer. So I'm looking at these people like they're Martians because my dad had 15 specialists working on him. Nobody was saying anything except for plan a funeral, and these people are telling me the tea's going to cure him? But I'm polite to the people, of course. They came to visit my dad and visit the house, and so I thank him for coming. After they leave, my dad figures, well, what the heck? If I've got 2 months to live, what's the difference if I'm drinking water or if I'm drinking tea? So he starts drinking a tea, and 2 months later, they put him on a CAT scan machine, and they think their CAT scan machine is broken. So they think their CAT scan machine is broken, and they say to my dad, listen, since you already drank the contrast dye, we'll call the hospital next door, and you walk on over, and they'll take a picture, so you don't have to come back next week. So my dad did. They took a picture, and he didn't have any cancer, or they couldn't find any cancer cells. And so after that, what happened was I was buying the tea where I could find it and when I could find it. And the problem was that the quality that they have at the stores is very poor. Sometimes it's not the right tea, and invariably it has the wrong preparation directions. So whether you have good quality pau d'arco or bad quality pau d'arco, it's made from wood. The bad quality pau d'arco, they're grinding it up and putting it into tea bags, and then they're telling the people, take this tea bag and steep it for 5 minutes. Well, what are you going to get if you soak wood for 5 minutes? Not much. Soak wood chips to barbecue with. I mean, other than that, you're not going to get very much.
Right.
So I got upset about that, and I said, this is absolutely ridiculous. Here's something you can get the best quality in the world for $34.95. Each pound makes 300 cups. That's the equivalent of 12 cents a glass to make. So even if you're drinking instead of water, 8 times 12 cents is 96 cents a day. I don't care what economic bracket somebody's in the United States. They can afford 96 cents a day to at least give themselves an opportunity for success. So as this was going on, one of my friends that was listening to this rant says to me, he says, and ironically, he's the indigenous, he's an importer for native alcohol from South America for the Costco stores in the United States. So he says to me, Milan, he says, I have licenses to import alcohol, which are restricted. He says, and so I don't think it'd be that much of a stretch for them to give me a license to import tea, which is not restricted.
Right.
And I already bring back 60 containers at a time of alcohol, he says. So he says, we can go down there and go into the rainforest, have it harvested for us, and put it on containers and bring it back, and you'll have all the pure pau d'arco you could ever want. So that's actually what we did. So in the Taheebo Tea Club, there are no middlemen. There are no distributors. The Taheebo Tea Club does everything. We have it harvested in Brazil. We put it on containers. Containers get put on cargo ships. Cargo ships come to the Port of Los Angeles. It comes to our warehouse. We ship worldwide. So that's why...
Pretty direct route.
That's why the quality of our product is absolutely phenomenal. And if somebody is going to have a chance for success, that's what they need. So in my father's case, my father had colon pancreatic cancer, and the size of the tumor on his pancreas was the size of a half a brick.
Oh,
and
my word.
Pancreatic cancer is essentially a death sentence. I mean, the survival rate for pancreatic cancer is less than 1.5% with treatment.
You know, I this is just a miraculous thing. And Rick, I want you to hear this. So I invite you to put your headphones on and listen to this and what he's talking about. A pound of, how big did you say this tumor was?
Yeah, it was the size of a half a brick.
Size of half a brick.
Yep.
Wow.
And in exactly 2 months, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And now, quite typically, what happens is that cancer eradication typically takes around 3 months, but sometimes it takes more. We had a man in Northern California. He had 3 tumors on his brain. One was the size of a golf ball, and 2 were the size of marbles. And obviously, he's with the tumors on his brain, the size that he had, he couldn't go to work. He had headaches. He starts drinking the tea, and in 3 months, the large tumor that used to be the size of a golf ball shrunk to be the size 50%. The 2 tumors that are smaller, like marbles, they completely were gone. And at 6 months, the golf ball one shrunk 75%, and in 9 months shrunk completely gone. The lab couldn't. Yeah, the lab couldn't wait for the man to come back to get the results. They called him the very next day, and they said, "This is unbelievable. You don't have cancer anymore." But not only that, all along the way, you could see that he was improving. So, after 3 months, he was actually able to go back to work.
Nature takes care of you.
Yeah.
Nature has the keys.
Yeah.
Nature has the solutions. Really, pharmaceutical is just stuff that they grind up from nature and then resell it to you.
That's exactly correct.
And charge you a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
But for Taheebo tea is what we're talking about with Milan Malkovic here.
Yeah.
You can get this very easily. You can Google Taheebo tea, and it's TAHEEBO, very easy. Taheebo, kind of like you're laughing a little bit. Taheebo tea, and it's very easy to find it. You can call 818. Let me get my glasses on here. 610-8088, 810-610-8088, or just go to the TaheeboTeaClub.com. Very simple. You can find it, or Clark's Nutrition.
Absolutely, and not a week goes by that somebody doesn't call in with a truly miraculous recovery. Bone cancer, brain cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, mesothelioma, you name it. Just a couple of weeks ago, a man from Phoenix called, and he says, I don't know if you remember speaking to me 4 months ago, he says, but he says, I had prostate cancer that was aggressively metastasizing through my whole body, even my bones everywhere. And you told me to drink at least 8 glasses a day, or as much as I could humanly stand. So I literally took that to heart, and I was drinking a gallon a day, which is like 16 cups, he says, or more, he says.
Can't hurt you?
No. He says, I was drinking so much of your tea, he says, that sometimes I was drinking and having to go pee at the same time. But I tell you what, he goes, in 4 months, I don't have cancer anymore. Another man calls because in these booklets that we send out to people, these booklets will automatically come with your order, and in the booklet it'll tell you about all of the things that the tea is good for and that sort of thing.
Also has some different languages in it too.
Right, it has preparation directions in about a dozen languages. So in the booklet it says, please call us, because the only way we can learn about our own product is to hear back from your experience. Because somebody else is going to call us and say, hey, listen, I've got this condition. Do you know of anybody that would help with this condition? And then we can tell them exactly what that person did. So one man from Beaumont, Texas calls up, and he says to me, your booklets, he says, it says to give you a call. He says, so I'm giving you a call to give you an update. I go, fantastic. He goes, I've been a customer now, he says, for 4 years, he says. My PSA level 4 years ago was 1,200. Now, we'd never had anybody with a PSA level of over 550. So I'm thinking, I'm not understanding this guy's Southern Texas drawl, right? So I says to him, I go, you mean 120, right? He goes, no, 1,200. I go, holy smokes. He says, yeah, he says, it was so bad, they didn't even want to give me chemo, he says. And they're going to give you chemo, whether you need it or not, just to collect on the money, he says.
Right.
And he says, so I had no other alternatives, he says, so I had to start drinking. I started drinking the tea, he goes. And he says, not only am I still alive 4 years later, my PSA level's 1.25. So about 6 months ago, this man calls, and I'm telling him the 1,200 PSA story because he told me he had prostate cancer. And he says, that's nothing. My prostate My PSA is 2100.
Oh my word!
I go, oh my God! I said, now you have to promise me to call me back to give me an update because, man, that is new record. Last week he actually emailed us, and he said that in 2 months his PSA level went from 2100 into the 70s. In another 2 months, it went down into the 4 or 5 range, and he's been drinking the tea now for 6 months, and it's 1.75.
You have people driving off the side of the road right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are badly affected by things like this.
Well, prostate cancer is so prevalent because 80% of men that reach 80 years of age are going to have prostate cancer. So, it's just a matter of time, and a lot of people get it earlier.
And if you catch it early, of course, there's good cures, but the cures aren't pleasant. They're not nice. And so what's more pleasant than just, imbibing some nice tea every day? And it's got an antifungal property in it. And if you've just joined us, that's the big thing about it. It fights everything from, problems in your stomach to your blood sugars to your cholesterol. We haven't even talked about cholesterol yet, to such things as like prostate cancer and things like that. It lasts a long time, so you can carry a lot of it around. If you're like me, you don't have a facility at the office to boil it, but you could put it in a big container and you can drink it. A lot of people are drinking different types of things, but it's so much healthier. And one of the basic ingredients of Taheebo tea is the pau d'arco bark, but also water. Water, we're all made up of water, and if you're drinking that much tea, you're also drinking that much water. So that's got to be healthy for you. That's got to help you. And of course, the Taheebo tea with the antifungal property is the perfect thing for your body.
Yeah, and the other thing is besides the tea being good, for people, not just for people that are fighting some type of an ailment, it's also phenomenal for people that are into self-maintenance. So one day this lady calls up from San Diego to reorder, and I'm looking at the computer, and I notice that she's been a customer for about 5 years. So I says to her, could you tell me the primary reason why you're drinking a tea? And she says, yes. She says, those informational booklets that you include with every order? I said, yes. She says, right in the middle of the booklet where the staple page is? I go, yeah. She says, you've got like 30 things listed here that the tea is good against. I said, yeah. She says, I don't want to get any of those things. I'm 79 years old. I don't take a pill. I look like I'm 60 years old, and that's the way I want to keep it.
Yes.
So as
Let's
a result,
read some of those, though.
Yeah.
Let's read some.
So as a result, we have famous athletes that drink our tea. We have famous singers that drink our tea. Famous actresses that drink our tea.
I mean, if you've got an immune deficiency disorder, not just HIV or AIDS, but other things that people have. We have a host here that has an immune deficiency that he's been given 2 years to live. We should give him some of this.
Yeah.
Anemia. You've got
anemia
problems in your blood.
Anemia is phenomenal for the tea works through the bloodstream, so anemia is absolutely unnatural. And typically, people that are anemic, in 6 to 8 weeks, they won't be anemic anymore. And people that are chronically anemic have had a hard time trying to get rid of it, and they will have gone to doctors for like 2-3 years, and the hematologist and this guy or that guy, and never get it done. And then they'll resolve with their own personal physician. Oh, heck, I'm anemic. I tried eating bananas. I did whatever the hematologist said, and I'm still anemic. So.
Well, there's the big ones that the cancer. We talked about the prostate cancer, prostatitis, diverticulitis, diverticulitis or diverticulosis, diabetes, those things. But also help some of the day-to-day, like minor ailments that you have to make you feel better. This is to make you feel better. Just some simple infections, whether you've got a little bit of gout going on, arthritis, rheumatism, those types of things that generally affect people.
What the tea in effect does is it helps the body to heal itself. So from that standpoint, it helps everything from the skin to the organs to the muscles, and it gets rid of the aches and pains. Now the other thing also is the tea is also effective for dogs. And I found this out, from a customer, and customer calls me up and tells me that dogs drinking the tea, and it's working for him.
It's always good to hear the different inventions,
Right.
like the insurance lady. Now this is something new to your pets.
Right. So I says, I have a Siberian Husky. It never occurred to me to give it to my dog. I says, how do you give it to your dog? He says, easy. I just swap out his water with the tea, and the dog loves it and drinks it. And it turns out the dogs will readily drink our tea. And if a dog won't readily drink it, all you do is put 3-4 ice cubes in it, and by tomorrow he'll be asking you for it because he thinks it's dessert.
That's right. Dogs love trees.
Yeah.
We all know that. And it's
Yeah,
part of the echo.
right. And the beautiful thing about the treatment for the dogs is that even if it doesn't eliminate the cancer, it will allow the dog to live comfortably the rest of its life. Because most of the times, pet owners don't put their dog down because they're gonna die tomorrow. They put the dog down because they can't stand to see the dog in pain. And the dog is howling, and they know the dog has cancer, and they, but with the Taheebo tea, it'll either get rid of the cancer, or it'll eliminate the pain, and a dog will be able to comfortably live out the last 2-3 years of their life, which is just a godsend. And then talking about dogs, I got a call from a lady right here in San Bernardino, and she says to me, she says, my friend has a Chihuahua dog, and she's been giving the tea to her Chihuahua because she read in your booklet there that's good for Chihuahuas, and her Chihuahua doesn't shed hair anymore.
Okay.
So I have a Chihuahua, she says, and and so she gave me some of the tea, and I'll be darned, she says, my dog doesn't shed hair anymore, right?
That would be interesting to know. I used to have a Siberian Husky German Shepherd mix.
Yeah.
And he would just, it was like a fan of fur everywhere.
Right. So I says to the lady, I says, I know nothing about Chihuahuas. I says, the Chihuahuas really shed a lot? She said, oh my God, they shed like crazy, she says. And she says, but, when they drink the tea, they don't. I says, oh, fantastic. Thank you for, telling me about that. Hour later, a lady from Dallas calls up to order, and I'm telling her, hey, I just learned something about, my own tea, and I'm telling her the Chihuahua story. And she says to me, you didn't know that? I go, no, I don't know anything about Chihuahuas. I have a Siberian Husky. What am I going to know about Chihuahuas? She says, well, she says, you've never met me, because I wrote her on the phone, obviously, and I live in Dallas. She says, but I have long hair, and before I was drinking your tea, I was losing a lot of hair when I was showering, and I was losing a lot of hair when I was brushing. Now, I hardly lose any hair whatsoever, she says, when I'm showering or brushing. And not only that, my fingernails are strong like concrete.
In the next few minutes, I'm going to take a risk here. And, sometimes it takes people a long time to get to the phone. But maybe we have a question we'd like to take from some of our listeners at 1-888-909-1050 or 909-792-5222, which spells KCA. I'll give those numbers again. 1-888-909-1050, very easy. 888, the area code, and our frequency, 1050. 1-888-909-1050 or 1-909-792-5222. I don't know if we're going to get people to the phone. We only have about 5 minutes left, and people are driving around and things like that. But we might take a question at the tail end. That could be fun.
Yeah.
And we'll think about the next time you're on KCA, we'll do that. We'll take some callers in. And that would be fun.
That'd be excellent, because the nice thing about having callers is that you can address specific issues. And everybody has their own primary concern. In the booklet that we all automatically include, there's a lot of cases that we discuss, and the very first thing anybody does is look for a case that's similar to theirs.
We've been selling a lot of your tea, by the way, I understand.
Yeah.
And that's great. The listener response has been wonderful for people buying the product and the actual product. And once again, we're talking with the creator, the curator, the president, the CEO of the Taheebo Tea Club in Taheebo Tea, and that's Milan Volkovic. Milan Volkovic. And his number is 818-610-8088 if you want to order some tea, 818-610-8088. And, of course, TaheeboTeaClub.com, very easy to spell that, TAHEEBOT Club.com. And it's been wonderful to talk to you. We've got just about maybe 5 minutes left here. And you've been telling us some great stories about this. and this tea.
Well, one of the things that I'd like to emphasize is I briefly touched upon that you don't have to be sick to drink the tea, which is really, really, really very important, because if you can have your immune system up, that's the best defense that you have against everything. And the way to do that is just have fun, enjoy the tea. You're drinking something anyway. The tea costs 12 cents a glass to make. It tastes fantastic. You can change the flavor if you like, so it's really easy, really, really easy to work with.
Just a simple change in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a big deal.
And so we have famous athletes that drink it, and some that are not so famous. So, for example, the boxing promoter Don King, the guy with the crazy hair. Well, his business manager is a woman, and her dad had prostate cancer, and somebody told her about the Taheebo tea, and she bought the tea for her dad. And 2 months later, she called to reorder. And is that a phone call that came in?
It is indeed a phone call, Rick. We have a phone call. We have a listener on the line, and maybe we'll go to that listener in just a second here. Rick is screening the call for us. Of course, we go through a screening process first, and then it goes on live on the air. And so we're ready to take the call. Was not a call for that, but that's okay.
So anyhow, she orders the tea and calls back 2 months later to reorder. Her dad's PSA level went from 60 to under 7 in 2 months, so she's really quite impressed. So I was telling her about the oxygen regeneration properties of the tea, and she says, oxygen? She says, we have a ranch here in Ohio, and all the boxers have to come here to Ohio to train, and then we send them up into the mountains of Colorado to run around the hills. From now on, we're going to get them started on the oxygen right here in Ohio by drinking Taheebo tea.
Oh, wonderful. And, of course, we have a caller on the line here, another caller. And do you have a question? Welcome, caller.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to know, I heard you mention something about herpes, and I just want to know, will it cure it, or will it just eliminate some of the symptoms?
Well, the very first thing it'll do, it will eliminate the symptoms. So in other words, the herpes sores, it will get rid of virtually immediately. We're talking about like within 24 hours. And you can actually, besides drinking the tea, you can also topically apply it to where the sores are. And the tea has no smell. So my son, when he was a teenager, he didn't want to get pimples. He used to wash his face in the tea. And then in terms of the eradication of the actual virus itself, you're looking at a period of somewhere between 3 to 6 months. And a lot of times people say, yeah, but I read that herpes can't be cured. I says, we've got cases where people have beaten HIV, where people have beaten AIDS, which is even more serious than herpes is, and the tea is an incredible antiviral. So it's worth a try.
We thank the listener for calling in, and of course we only have about another minute or so. And I look at this very handsome man who's been drinking Taheebo tea all his life, inspired by his father. He looks good, he feels good, he's healthy. He's a walking testimony to Taheebo tea, and it's a great cure and a great solution in life. It's not just a cure, it's a solution in life. It's just a moderate lifestyle change. And Taheebo tea, it's you can Google it, Taheebot. We've been speaking with Milan Molkovic, and we appreciate you being on here. And give us one last sentence here about Taheebo tea, if you want to give our listeners one last thought.
Well, the tea tastes great, and you just might help save a life. So enjoy the tea, and look forward to speaking with you all next time we have a live broadcast.
Well, thank you, Milan. I'm Mark Westwood for Community Crossroads here on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and 102.3 FM. And we'll be joining news in very second, NBC News. And by the way, you can get this at Clark's Nutrition as well.
All right.
Thank you for joining us, Milan.
Thank you for having me.
Looking for a new place to eat? Delicious food at a great value? The Tri-City Center in Redlands